Okay, here is the third section in this video of my demonstration from the Confident Landscape class. I've started to use a piece of a credit card that I've rounded the corners, and it's usually a little bit of a tapered shape, so I have a thin edge on one side and a thicker edge on the other side. I like to use it because it's a little bit like a palette knife, except I can move it more like a brush with a downward stroke. I've speeded this up quite a bit. I never move this fast. So I'm not going to say too much, except that I try to be a little bit more intentional as I proceed through this final stage, a little bit more precise about how I make my marks, and keep thinking in terms of hoping that they will stay without too much of a change. The last 5% I think should be with a little bit more intention than the first part that can be adjusted so much as things are observed to be a little bit different and needing to be moved a bit or adjusted. But now I'm thinking in terms of trying to make every surface as beautiful as I can. I'm going to be right now using a reference that I took when the blossoms were a little bit brighter, a little bit more developed, so pretty soon I'll change it back to the original reference. I definitely am going back and forth between the two. And mostly I'll let this just play on, and you can just observe a small brush trying to just define a little bit more. When I do a demonstration, I don't usually talk through this part. It's a little bit more difficult to verbalize while I'm thinking in terms of small shapes. And also I find that the block-in is much more informative than the finish. But it's fun to see the end of a painting also. I think this video is going to end when this painting's probably about 95% finished. I still have a little bit more work to do at the end, but I have yet to decide whether I'm going to show that part or not. It's still not quite finished on my easel. And so I'll just kind of let it go, and you can observe and see if you can get something from what I'm doing. I'm going to go back and forth from the brush to the other piece of credit card, looking for a rough surface, skipping over the bumps of the paint that's already set. It's fun to put the branches in between all the foliage that I've already, and blossoms that I've already established. Be nice if we could paint this fast. It's odd how looking at this and doing a voiceover, it's a little bit like watching somebody else paint. Now I'm back to using the credit card. Again, looking for surface. Really important to have some beautiful texture. Before I let a painting go, I try to remember to isolate every section of the painting, usually in about 3 by 3 inch square areas, and observe each area on its own to see if it's a beautiful texture and surface, and it's resolved, and it's lovely on its own merit. It's not okay to have some parts mushy and smeared, and other parts that are clear and refined. We want lots of different edges, but we don't want any part of the painting to be just unfinished. This tool lets me go sideways to make a nice slice of an edge. It's very versatile. I use it for rocks, trees, water, waves. Anything that can use a little bit more paint and a little bit more of a texture. Grasses. There, now I've just changed back to the original reference. I'm still looking for anything I can adjust as I see it, working around the whole surface, trying to make the surface more beautiful. Before I get done, I'm going to be looking at every part of this painting, like a 4 by 4 inch square, top left, middle, top right. Every part should be a beautiful area. No matter where it is on the surface of the painting, it should be a pretty area right there. Cutting things in from the outside. Identified. There should be nothing that's, think of an edge instead of from the middle out, and nothing that's completely, think instead from the smeary outside or in, cutting it in, unclear. It's really a fun way to paint. I can see myself making a test, seeing what color I put down, and then adjusting it. If it's too bright, echo this color with the green. I'll add a little bit of orange or red other places to neutralize it, to make it a little bit more gray. Anything that needs to be softened or grayed, you just add the complement a little bit. I'm interested in different edges, soft edges, some hard edges, some clear edges, some now you see it, now you don't edges. I was during the Hudson Valley Art League show with some of the other board members today, and looking at some sky holes here, thinking in terms several they should paintings be darker. Were quite excellent, but they would take the lighter edge of a little bit bigger roof line, lighter towards the horizon, a little bit darker so towards specific the dome of the sky, hard and clean and cut out. I guess it's one of my pet peeves that it's like an outline, and I believe that's it. And I think that's the end of the video. I'm not sure.